Hello again, and for today, I'm doing another cultural entertainment commentary. And this one is going to be centered on more of a political bent. And this is because in seeing this culture war and seeing this Groyper war take place, I have seen the right just give up the cultural battle, the cultural landscape. A lot of the Phantom Menace is surrounded by people who are more politically left-leaning, and this is because the older gatekeepers of the right do not see the cultural battleground as any kind of landscape worth fighting. And there is a lot of problems in this. I think a lot of it has to do with the entertainment industry kind of shifting dramatically left for, no reason other than ideological control, and the right seeing that there is no point in, controlling entertainment is effectively a stupid, useless boomer tactic. Now, why do I believe in using culture as a weapon? Very simple. Because much like the great quote from Andrew Breitbart, I do believe that politics is downstream from culture. How do you control the political landscape? Simple. You need to influence the cultural landscape in order to kind of extol your virtues and your values. And there are certain players in the 80s that were doing this. Jack Abramoff comes to mind, the big money scammer that what used to be called Casino Jack. There was a documentary on him called Casino Jack in the United States of Money. He made this very anti-communist action movie with Dolph Lundgren called Red Scorpion. And this is like one of the last times I can recall in history that there was politically right-leaning movies put out there for an audience. Yeah, it probably didn't do too good, but, this is why the right loses. It's because they have given up on the culture, on maintaining a cultural presence to entice young people into learning and understanding conservatism. And this allows the left to steamroll culture into their indoctrination machine. Why is shit like drag kids acceptable? Simple, because we've had drag culture be acceptable for years because it's been put on television. And I don't want to be very mean to RuPaul. I just think that it's inherently degenerate to be doing that kind of shit. That isn't something that should have a mainstream appeal. Drag is a very, it's a very gay thing. And to allow it to have this kind of cultural appeal in mainstream is what, permits more acceptance towards drag kids and trans youth and then leading into pedosexuality. And this is the kind of shit that, if the right had more of a cultural foothold, we would be able to stop, and we would be able to, say, hey, that should not be culturally acceptable, and we'll paint you a narrative as to why in the form of a movie or a book or a video game or a comic or anything in media. And this idea that there should be no cultural foothold for conservatism is a very boomer idea. The boomers are the generation of people that did not see that, the way that progressivism took hold was through culture. And, it was first the long march through the institutions, and then it was the long march through the entertainment industry. And this is why we get people now saying that reparations is good and we need a Green New Deal and diversity is our strength. This is how these kinds of ideas get pushed through. They are pushed through culture before they are pushed through policy. And, with this culture war, we see that the right is not ready to fight, is not ready to win, not only in culture, but on their own policies. They are not ready to really have a winning conservative argument that, people can get behind. One of the things that I think was really important in the Groyper War, and that is still ongoing, is that, they are making these kind of immigration arguments that are pro-worker, something that the left used to champion. And I think that is a good idea into bringing more people around into understanding what is paleoconservatism. Why is limiting immigration good? And yet we do not have a cultural example of paleoconservatism that really comes to mind. And this is because, again, the intellectuals, the boomer intellectuals, do not believe that there is a cultural battleground to be fought in politics. And this is why they fail. And I don't know. I know that for one thing, I'm probably not the person to go out and do it, as I'm currently just figuring out where I sit in the world. But once I do, I think I will probably write a really hard-hitting, dark and gritty drama that has to deal with, the kind of implications of what I find to be calamitous for society with leftism. And, it will probably get me labeled XYZ, and I'll get blacklisted over it and shit. And I'll just be like, good, because at least this kind of opinion is getting out there. At least it's not just all a push for nonsense, for drivel, for leftism, for progressivism. Because, again, we need to take the left's indoctrination machine away from them. And it's more than the academy. It's more than the people pushing the agenda. It is the entertainment industry. It is culture. Culture is the big battleground that the right needs to get ready for. Because how will, the left push back against them? Easy. Telling them they're racist in their media. One of the big examples culturally that I can remember from this year is that promo for that TV show The Good Fight on CBS. And it has that one dude, I believe his name is Nyambi, talk about how there's no debate with Nazis. Occam's razor, and like totally butchering all these concepts. And, this is the kind of shit that we saw out of SJWs on YouTube years ago. And now it's in the entertainment industry. What is that Watchmen fucking ridiculous non-sequel, if not just an exercise in social justice virtue signaling, in playing identity politics, and playing into progressive stereotypes, okay? Like, that is the kind of shit that we will see for decades to come if the right does not start waging a fucking cultural war in the entertainment industry. And it's, not up to guys like Scott Baio and Dean Cain and, just these actors to be doing it. It's for the people, on the ground floor and below the line and above the line to gather together and start to put projects together that extol their values and their virtues. And this is the only way that we're going to be able to push back against the madness. But again, right-wing investors do not give a shit about any of this. They instead fund shit like the Daily Wire and anything that, promotes their agenda. And so, in conclusion, the right needs to sack up and get ready for this culture war that is currently ongoing and that they've been asleep at the wheel for decades, Like I've been saying in this commentary, the left uses culture as an indoctrination machine, and we need to get ready to push back against these people because they are enforcing degeneracy, they are enforcing diversity, they're enforcing all of their empty platitudes to destroy society. I don't want to really emphasize those kind of points like that, but what they're doing is just the destruction and decay of society at large. And I'm not ready to give up on society. I'm not ready to give up on people who have lost their way. I'm not ready to just hand things over to the left as the right seems to do because they want to play by the left's moral framework. Again, something that I think I'm going to reach next week if the Groyper Wars continue the momentum around framing us America First conservatives as Nazis. Because, if you're going to pretend to be a conservative while spouting SPLC talking points, then you're not a conservative. And you should stand out of the way from real people who want to protect this country and its values. And so I say to the left, who wants to use culture as a weapon, well, you better tread lightly, because we might just reverse parry that sword right out of your hands.